presidency is the toughest job in the world, and she's the one leader who has what it takes to get every part of the job done.
A sharp contrast in campaign ads of the Democratic race as we enter the final stretch before the Iowa caucuses, and we're back now with the panel. Well, Lisa, the last time most of us looked at the Democratic race, it seemed that Hillary Clinton had a pretty clear path to the Democratic nomination. But now take a look at the latest Real Clear Politics averages. In Iowa, Clinton leads by just over 6 points, and in New Hampshire, Sanders leads Clinton by almost 11 points. So what happened in the last few weeks?
Well, there's no question that the path has gotten a whole lot messier and a whole lot less clear. The race, as you point out, in Iowa is very tight. In New Hampshire, Sanders, who's from, of course, the neighboring state of Vermont, has a slight advantage. You know, once you get past those first two states, it gets a little better for Hillary Clinton. She's stronger, remains stronger with minority communities. Sanders has had trouble making inroads there. But then, once you get past Super Tuesday, where you have a bunch of southern states voting, you have these western caucuses in places like Colorado, where he could do quite well. So I think this could be a drawn-out battle. Clinton advisors and other Democrats have told me it could go until May or June. So this could end up being a slog, and the question is how much damage this does for her if she makes it to the general.
Well, as I said before, watch what politicians do, not what they say, and Clinton and her campaign are really going after Bernie Sanders now in a way that they never have before in this campaign, saying that he's a socialist, saying he's too far to the left on foreign policy and the economy and taxes. But at least in these early voting states, and I know they're more liberal than most, of Iowa and New Hampshire, George, it doesn't seem to be sticking.
Well, think about that. Hillary Clinton is saying to the Democratic nominating electorate, which is well to the left of their party, just as the Republican nominating electorate is to the right of the center of its party, she's saying, don't vote for the guy who's too left-wing. They unleash, they say inadvertently, they unleash Chelsea Clinton, who says, in effect, he wants to dismantle Obamacare and Medicaid, and Sanders says, of course, I've always been for a single-payer system, which is approximately where the Democratic electorate is. Her problem is she has to hold together the Obama coalition, the coalition that beat her in 2008, without Obama at the top of the ticket. As you said, this is going to be a long slog. And what we know already is that Hillary Clinton is not a wine that travels well. She does not benefit from lots of exposure. The more people see her, the more they seem to recoil from this. I think she's in a worse position in January 2016 than she was in January 2008. And I still think, our previous guest notwithstanding, that her biggest problem may not be a senator named Sanders, but a general named Petraeus, because distinguish it how you will, the Petraeus precedent does not look good for someone who has carelessly, indeed recklessly.
The fact that he was prosecuted for mishandling of classified information.
Correct, and probably much less important classified information.
But wait a second, he gave that information to someone else. Hillary Clinton didn't give any information. It's never even been asserted that her server, private as it was violated. The
question, what is clear is she violated the rules, and what is important here is, was it careless and reckless?
Well, sure, you can make a negligence argument, but that would be, but that's not a legal charge, George. And clearly, what Petraeus did.
No, he was saying, but wait a minute, Senator Langford said willful retention or willful mishandling. I forget the exact phrase.
Okay, yeah.
Let me just quickly, and I'm going to tee it up for you. Hillary Clinton was asked about it this week, and like her campaign manager, she basically dismissed it as political. Here she is.
This seems to me to be, you know, another effort to inject this into the campaign. It's another leak.
But one, I mean, there are a couple of points here. First of all, you have the Inspector General saying that this was so sensitive, it was this classification is sort of like double secret probation I didn't even know existed, SAP, Special Access Programs, right. And despite Adam Schiff's talk about, well, you know, we don't want him discrediting himself, Obama appointee confirmed unanimously by a Democratic-controlled Senate, Charles McCullough.
Right. So, and McCullough, of course, has previously said something was classified, and then you had the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, come back and said, no, that was a mistake. It should not have been classified. So we have things going back and forth. You have arguments between different people as to what's classified and not classified, as you heard from the congressman in the earlier segment. The overarching point to me is Republicans don't want to run against Hillary Clinton. They think they have an easier shot against Bernie Sanders. That's why you have Karl Rove and his American Crossroads running ads in Iowa against Hillary Clinton. Republicans have a vested interest. So this becomes a highly politicized investigation. And at the moment, the question is, yes, Mrs. Clinton is entitled, privileged, secretive, but did she cross the line, Chris? Did she violate the law? That's what I'm arguing about with George.
This is quite the endorsement coming from
No,
Ron
it's not.
Williams
I'm not
here.
endorsing.
She's privileged. By the end of 2008, the last remaining argument Hillary Clinton could make against Barack Obama was that she was competent, that you wanted her picking up the phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. When Juan Williams is now even saying, well, this was negligence. This is gross incompetence.
I think she broke the rules.
And the difference in 2008 and now is that last argument that she had, I'm competent, you want me picking up the phone call, even that one doesn't stand anymore.
So, Lisa, it's interesting because the Clinton people are now saying even if she were to lose Iowa, even if she were to lose New Hampshire, then there's a firewall. You get to South Carolina, you get to a lot of those southern states before you get to your western caucuses. And there are a lot of big states, winner take all, and that'll be her firewall. That's where she will save it. Do you buy that, or?
I just think there's no reason for Sanders to drop out of the race. He has the money, he has enthusiasm. Even if that is her firewall, she's not going to have enough delegates, and why would he quit? And the risk, I think, is whether his arguments, yes, he's taken emails off the table, but he's talking about her Wall Street ties and her paid speeches. And do those speaking fees, get at the fundamental problem that she faces, which is a question of honesty and truthfulness? It's exactly what the emails, the problem with the emails for voters is, was she telling the truth? And if his arguments start to dovetail into this theme, she's going to have a problem going to the general election.
And we have less than 30 seconds left, but you know, George, as well as I do, in campaigns, if a surprise happens, momentum can change on a dime. A campaign, you think of Gary Hart and Walter Mondale, the supposed invincible frontrunner, lose a couple of races, they look like a bum.
And particularly if you lose the first 2 races. And then the other states say, do we want to double down and ratify failure? The idea that the Democratic electorate, which is to the left, is going to abandon Bernie Sanders is fanciful.
Thank you, panel. See you next Sunday.